Hey everybody, since drinking AG1 daily, I have felt a lot better. I feel like there's not as much pressure to get nutrients into my body in breakfast because it's always like I wake up and then I want to work out and then I want to do this. But I felt a lot better just drinking that. I don't have to think about it anymore. I just drink, I open up the packet, I put it in the shaker, I add water, shake it up, drink it. Boom, it's done. If there's one product I had to recommend to elevate your health, it's AG1. And that's why I'm excited to welcome them as a new partner.
Hello. If you want to take ownership of your health, it starts with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase at drinkag1.com/pretend. That's drinkag1.com/pretend. Check it out. Here's the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Pretend Problems podcast. I'm Kelsey Cook.
And I'm Kelsey Cook.
That was a good sneaky one. Happy May 1st.
May Day.
May Day.
Where kids would bring baskets of candy to your front step, knock on your door, and run away. Also a plane crashing, which is confusing.
I'm not familiar with the first part of that. With the kids with the candy.
Mayday baskets.
Oh. We were just talking about the Ring Around the Rosie recently, how fucking ominous that is and where that actually comes from. That really messed me up the first time I found out what that means.
Yeah, and then you think about all the kids and their monotone voices.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Ring Around the Rosie, pocket full of posy, ashes, ashes, we all fell down. Jesus Christ.
Why don't you tell them what it's about?
The bubonic plague. Ashes, ashes, we all fall down. How fucked up is that?
Yeah, they had to burn those bodies. You don't want to bury that and have the bubonic plague stench come up.
Ugh.
You don't want a mouthful of that. I've been in New York City where I've been like, oh, are those flowers? No, it's shit. Because that's how fast the smell changes. So you don't want to be outside like, ooh, lilacs. Ah, fuck, bubonic plague.
Bubonic plague.
So they had to burn those bodies.
Yeah.
Ashes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in a museum and it showed one of the, was it like a mask that people used to wear with a pocket full of, what is posy?
I don't know. I wasn't in the museum.
I think it was something they put in the mask to try to, like maybe that was their original, what are the COVID masks called?
Oh, N95?
N95. I think that was like the old school N95 was a pocket full of posy. We need to look.
I feel like it's posy is maybe, I think it's a flower.
That's what I was thinking too. But I think they thought that was what
Posy's flower, yes.
Okay, it would protect you from, maybe it would protect you. Maybe they just don't want to smell.
That's what I think it is.
Oh, you just don't want to smell. Okay.
I don't think they protected you from anything. I think that they, it's like when you spray rose-scented air freshener after you take a shit. Thanks, Grandma.
I've learned recently that Chad does not like any rose-scented anything.
It just so happens that my girlfriend loves the scent of the same air freshener my grandparents used to use after shitting. So it's not great for me. It brings me not back to I want to lay you down in a bed of roses. Thank you, John Bon Jovi. But it brings me back to Sunday, where people built that house on purpose, my grandpa, with the bathroom right next to the dinner table.
Oof.
Why would you do that? Oof. I understand it's technically in the hallway, but let's fucking space it out a little bit. Whew.
So I have bought these like jumbo size expensive candles that apparently smell like rose. I have rose hand cream that I put on right before we get in bed that I then, touch his face. Oh, good night, babe.
Yeah.
And apparently this whole time he's like,
and I'm just
fucking kill me.
Yeah, it's not my favorite scent.
And he did not tell me this until very, very recently.
Well, I was going to let the hand cream go because I thought it would run out. And then you bought those fucking forever candles.
Well, and I bought a new one of the rose cream. I mean, how would I know?
I guess you wouldn't.
Yeah.
But the candle you bought is like one of those candles that you light at a grave and they never blow out for the rest of time.
They do burn for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, I will try and make it a rose-free living area for you as often as I can.
Thank you.
We've had an interesting week of things happening.
Yeah.
First of all, so on last episode, we talked about that I got an Aura ring, and you told me I looked like it comes with a free download card for Limp Bizkit.
It's true. It does. It still does.
It still does. Would you like to show the camera what's going on your other hand?
Oh.
You took it off for the podcast.
My Aura ring is charging right now. I do have one. I went to, my son was in town with a friend of his, and I said, hey, we have all these really cool restaurants here. We should go. And they're like, what about Olive Garden? So we went to Olive Garden.
High out of their mind.
Yeah. They were here for a weed symposium, an expo. And so we went to Olive Garden. Now, I got the tour of Italy, which is lasagna.
You did?
Alfredo and chicken parm. Now, let me tell you, I didn't even get off the plane. I looked at one of the Alfredo noodles, the linguine noodles, that was just crusty as fuck.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, you know what, Italy? You had me at oh no. So I didn't partake. Now, my son he got a chicken Alfredo with broccoli and hair. Found a long, dark black hair in it, and he was like, what am I supposed to do? Well, everybody knows when you're here, you're family, so you just eat it. You don't make a big, right? It's your aunt's hair.
When you're here, your family.
So that was our thing. And anyways, the reason I'm telling you this is because our server had a index finger ring on, not an Aura ring. Just like I play guitar at parties ring. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about wearing it. I do like the fact that it tracks my sleep, although last night I felt like it was very inaccurate. Because we went to bed at the same time, got up at the same time, and we had different in-bed readings.
Right.
Yeah.
But other than that, don't you feel like it's doing a good job?
Other than it being inaccurate, I feel like it's very spot on.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how have you been feeling about your sleep scores?
My sleep scores are fine. It takes me, I think, a long time to get to sleep. Mm-hmm. But I've had some good sleep scores. I've had an 81, which is a B- in any other thing, but it's good.
Yeah, they're
on the sleep score.
Very optimistic on the app.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'd like to go back into some of my PTA meetings with my mom and teachers and be like, fucking could try harder, not giving effort. 81 is good, bitch. Check out my Limp Bizkit ring.
Well, according to the app, unless you don't trust anything it's saying now, it says that you've been falling asleep fairly quickly. Maybe not last night, but the other nights you sent me seemed good.
Well, there was one that took me kind of like 41 minutes or something.
Oh, okay.
I think it was in the red zone for falling asleep. How about you?
It's been a little mixed. You know, I had a pretty good night's sleep last night. Not so great over the weekend in Salt Lake City. Although I will say, thank you guys so much for coming out to those shows. You guys were incredible crowds. Had a great time at the shows. But yeah, I mean,
Why couldn't you fall asleep in Salt Lake City?
The hotel room was a little rough.
Oh.
Like I was telling you. Couldn't get the AC to be working right. It was either way too hot or way too cold. Had my friend Jamie with me. Yeah, also not the best bed, but you know what? It's fine. I'm back home now, sleep in my own bed. But I thought this was going to be this big reveal for the pod because we've been talking about, oh man, so curious to see what your sleep is going to be like. I think a big thing that you found out was that you don't have sleep apnea, apparently, at least according to it tells you how much oxygen you're getting at night.
Right. I think the big thing is you found out I didn't have sleep apnea. I've known that I snore once right when I'm on my back.
You snored last night in the middle of the night.
Okay. Should we go to dates?
I'm telling you, I woke up from it.
Okay. Most nights?
I don't know. I sleep pretty hard, but I just know
okay, but you said most nights.
Oh, got those goddamn birds. You guys, we bought the reflective. I didn't say most nights just now.
Okay.
I said last night.
Okay.
Okay, so Oura Ring. And then I've had a really giant piece of news come into my life.
That's true.
So I started seeing a functional doctor where they generally do, it seems like, a lot more thorough testing than a typical doctor. And so I wanted to get my food allergies tested. I hadn't had them tested since I was in high school. And back then it was just like a skin prick, which is not as accurate as now doing a blood test. So this whole time I've been walking around thinking I've got this big peanut allergy. Haven't had peanuts since I was like 19, 20. I get the test back. Not only does it say I'm not very allergic to peanuts, but that I'm allergic to almonds, the thing I've been substituting for peanuts this whole goddamn time. Look at Chad looking into the camera.
Unbelievable.
So upset because peanut butter is his favorite food.
Mm-hmm. It is a bummer though, because you have been replacing peanuts with almonds, and that's the thing that you're actually allergic to.
Yeah.
And then what else? What's the big one?
The big one that was very, very, very high were eggs.
What are eggs in besides mayo and Wonder Bread? Everything? Is that what set it off? Maybe your body was like, you know what? Mayo and Wonder Bread. This is a lot of eggs. I don't think a body should be doing this, so I'm going to make you allergic to eggs.
Yeah. I'm sure.
There are so many times where I will call home from the road and she's like, well, I'm just cooking for one, so I'm having eggs on toast. Fucking bad beat.
I have so many eggs. Yeah, I talked about it on stage in Salt Lake City that I had just figured this out, and that's like such a big ingredient in Wonder Bread and mayo. But yeah, I mean, I have eggs. This is the thing. It's like you find out that you can't have eggs anymore, and you're like, oh, I didn't even know all the things that have eggs in them.
Yeah.
So I've for sure been having eggs, I think, every single day, whether it's like actually cooking eggs or it's just an ingredient in something. But yeah, the doctor was like, look, this is a big reaction that your body has to it, even though it's not. I think when somebody has like an anaphylactic reaction, I think that's typically more like nuts or shellfish. Other people with different allergies, it's like deep digestion issues.
Gets in the blood.
Lots of inflammation, lots of leaky gut. And so she's like, yeah, no more eggs. And that's a tough day. It was a tough day to really accept that. No more eggs. Brunch is so fun.
Yeah. How's that been going?
Not great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You've really gone the fuck it, I'm still eating eggs route.
But not fuck it, I'm still eating eggs. It's been like accidental.
No.
Like we had pasta that first night that I was like, all right, well, I'm going to start not having eggs. And we had gluten-free pasta. I thought I was being good. I'm like, not having gluten. Get almost done with my meal. Read the packaging. Eggs. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Eggs and noodles. Eggs and buns. Eggs are in a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I'm trying. It's hard.
I'm sure.
It's really hard. So anyway, I can't have eggs anymore. And then tomorrow, the day that this comes out, I have to go into the clinic because I'm going to eat a peanut for the first time in, almost 20 years, and just make sure, like under doctor supervision, that it's for sure okay.
If the doctor doesn't have jury duty.
If the doctor doesn't.
Doctor might have jury duty.
The doctor doesn't.
So then they'll have to push that back. So just letting you know, don't be on pins and needles for the next episode because we don't know.
Yeah, we hope it all goes according to plan tomorrow. But how do you think you're gonna feel if I for sure I don't have a reaction and you can have peanut butter again? What's the first thing you're gonna do?
I don't know. I might have to stay away from peanut butter because when we started living together, as you know, I lost 20 pounds and it was really like kind of a buzz. Like I'm losing this weight, proving I'm not trying to kill my partner, which is an interesting tactic. But so I don't know if I'll have it a bunch.
Okay. Well, if I can have it, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Go for it.
What am I going to start with?
Go crazy.
Well, stay tuned. Maybe a fucking peanut butter extravaganza over here. I'm pretty excited.
This is a big stay tuned episode. Not a lot of fun in this one, but a lot of promissory notes. not too exciting.
A lot coming hopefully the next episode.
I hope you're still listening.
Yeah. It's listen, we got a little bit of a different energy today. It's fine.
I'm crabby.
Chad's crabby.
Yep, I am grumpy. Don't need to get into that, but I am grumpy. Should we do dates?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. I'll go first. You can go first.
Oh, okay. This weekend, I will be in Vegas at the Wise Guys location at Town Square. It's supposed to be very nice. Looking forward to it. Hopefully ticket sales get a little more ramped up. We'll see. Denver, I'm there May 16th through the 18th. Kansas City, June 7th through the 8th. What?
Oh, nothing.
Okay. June 7th through the 8th. And then Chad and I are in Georgia, South Carolina, and Florida in the middle of June for the Fully Loaded tour with Bert Kreischer. In July, I'm in Charlotte and Raleigh. And then starting in September, this is September through December, it's Timonium, which is Baltimore area, Fort Collins, Omaha, Phoenix, Providence, Dania Beach, Austin, and San Antonio. So kelseycook.com for tickets.
This month I'm in Nashville, Cincinnati, Austin, Texas. Then in June I'll be in Springfield, Missouri. Then be on that thing with Bert. And then July, Detroit, technically Royal Oak, but you get it. Then in September I'll be in Spokane and Tampa. October, I'll be in Madison, Wisconsin, and Columbus, Ohio. November, Denver, sort of. It's the Comedy Works South Club. Mm-hmm. San Francisco, Sacramento. Then in December, Salt Lake City and Las Vegas.
Nice.
Come see a show, please.
ChadDaniels.com for tickets.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't come to a show based on this episode, I don't know what's wrong with you. Because this is lights out so far.
Would you like to record this after pickleball instead?
Let's do it.
Okay. Well, you keep talking about how bad of an episode this is and that you're crabby.
Well, I am grumpy, mm-hmm. and I don't know.
Okay. Well, I wish you weren't.
If ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas.
Is there something I can do to...
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Should we read that thing, that middle episode thing?
Sure.
Or middle segment?
So, for our middle segment today, we decided to pull from the card game that we've mentioned on here that's called We're Not Really Strangers.
Mm-hmm. Great game.
Yeah, they're not sponsored. We're not sponsored by them, but we just think it's a great game and mm-hmm. super interesting questions. So one of the questions we pulled today to ask each other, and you guys can maybe ask one another if you're listening to the podcast with somebody, is what do you think my superpower is?
I think your superpower is to keep on keeping on. I think that a lot of times you have a lot of stress mm-hmm. with your mom's health. Mm-hmm. And then I think you have to continue to live all the other aspects of your life. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty amazing to me because I would set this whole motherfucker on fire if I had to deal with that stuff. And that's always very impressive to me.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That's a very nice thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
I think your superpower is helping others. Like helping the people in your life that you love and really going above and beyond to make sure that the people in your life have what they need and
sure
that you're there for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Normally, I don't accept compliments very well, but I will accept this compliment. That's nice of you. Yesterday, we did a PETA shoot with your friend.
Oh, yeah. We were going to talk about that.
We did a thing where her friend works for PETA.
Delaney,
yeah. I didn't know if we should say the name, but Delaney works for PETA and asked if we would do some stuff. And being honest, I did most of it. I did a lot of the second scene. I had to go lay in grass and sit on rocks and climb a tree. Mm-hmm. And then yesterday you had an audition that I came in after that, changed clothes, and helped with. So I'm going to accept your compliment.
Oh, that was okay. I didn't realize you were saying all of that to further illustrate what I had said. Okay.
Yep. Yesterday was a good day for that.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you feel resentful that...
I don't feel resentful about anything.
Okay.
Why? I'm just saying, like, I think it's probably confusing for the viewer that I'm accepting a compliment.
Yeah, I'm also a little.
So I was just explaining. It feels very fresh.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. Delaney wrote 2 different scripts.
Very funny, by the way.
Very, very funny.
Yeah,
and I think she knows that you like those sort of scenes are more your thing, like funnier if you do them.
Okay.
So, yeah, I know she didn't mean to make it lopsided in the work.
Oh, no. I didn't think of that. I wasn't thinking that.
Okay.
I was just saying that when you were like, hey, we should do this thing for PETA. Mm-hmm. And then they got here and I was like, oh, all right.
Yeah, it's...
I'm going to be laying in wet grass. But they also couldn't, have predicted the weather.
Yeah.
It was a lot. It's been raining here for 5 days.
Yeah, it's been a real April showers bring May flowers situation. So, well,
May 1st, May Day.
Yeah.
But this is a May Day, our ship is sinking because it's so fucking wet.
Yeah. Our house is probably sinking.
I first gave AG1 a try because traveling is hard to get nutrients in the morning. Some hotels don't have those little fridges. They have all the stuff down, by the lobby, but it's ice cream and Skittles. And can I tell you something? I don't mind it. But in the morning, I like to have something in my body that's going to make me feel good to start my day. So I have a coffee and then I have AG1. I shake it up. Since I have been drinking it, I just feel better. I feel more confident in knowing that I don't have to have a salad for lunch. I can have a sandwich and a piece of fruit or whatever. I don't have to get all of that stuff with the food I'm eating because the first thing I do in the morning is get a ton of nutrients.
Absolutely. And that's because AG1 is a foundational nutrition supplement that supports your body's universal needs like gut optimization, stress management, and immune support. Since 2010, AG1 has led the future of foundational nutrition, continuously refining their formula to create a smarter, better way to elevate your baseline health.
If you ever go to the moon and you get sucked up into outer space, AG1 would be perfect for your universal needs.
Yes.
It has. Not only did it replace my multivitamin, but it has prebiotics, probiotics. Those are 2 different things. It's like Tampa and Tempe. Prebiotics, probiotics, and digestive enzymes for gut support.
We recommend AG1 to all of our family and friends because it has a team of doctors and scientists behind it. It's tested for 950 contaminants and NSF certified for sport. Even our friends have started drinking AG1 and they always tell us how energetic they feel, that it supports their gut health, and that their stress levels feel manageable. And I know that especially for you traveling, it's such a great thing. Like you really love to be active in the morning, like you said, and being able to just like get those great nutrients in right away without feeling like you have to do an entire full
and you're not
breakfast.
weighed down by it. Like as soon as you have it, you can go do other things. You can walk on the treadmill, get your emails sent, however you live your life in the morning, but you're just not weighted down. So if there's one product I had to recommend to elevate your health, it's AG1. And that's why I'm excited to welcome them as a new partner.
Yeah.
Hey, partner.
Hey, partner.
Hi.
If you want to take ownership of your health, it starts with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase at drinkag1.com/pretend.
Now, I'd like to just remind you, if you're in a basement of your parents' house right now, D3K2 is not a Star Wars character. It is. These are vitamins and minerals that you're going to put a little drop under your tongue. So just to be clear, you order this and you're like, where's my fucking robot? It's not what it is. You need to understand these are vitamins and nutrients that your body needs, not a friend made of tin. Okay. So again, let's recap. That's drinkag1.com/pretend. Check it out.
Check it out. Back to the show. Okay, guys, we're going to get into our listener questions. As always, you guys keep sending so many wonderful questions, and it's tough. It's tough picking ones to do because we have a ton and they're all great. So if you haven't had yours read yet, just be patient if you can. We're trying to get through as many as we can, but we get like a whole new round every week. So if you want to write in, it is pretendproblemspodcast@gmail.com. So this first one says, it's titled Relationship Q plus Chat GPT names your listeners. So they say, hi, Kelsey and Chad. I was a self-helpless listener from the very beginning, and I've been a fan of Chad since I heard his IHOP joke on Pandora. Oh. Funny tangent. In college, I contacted Chad's agent to perform at my school, and he had agreed, but the school revoked my budget last minute and crushed my dream of hosting a comedy show. Bummer.
Well, the budget, I can't imagine it was that much because I remember how much I got paid from colleges. I think you showed them a clip and they were like, no, thank you.
I'm sure not.
$1 is too much.
Writing in with a relationship question, but first a more serious question. If self-helpless listeners were called helpsters, what are PPP listeners called? Here's what ChatGPT thinks. And this is very funny. They send a screenshot of what ChatGPT says. Sure, here are a few other fun names for listeners of the Pretend Problems podcast. Number 1, problematics. A playful twist that implies they enjoy delving into problems even if they're pretend. Number 2, pretendees. Focuses on the act of pretending, emphasizing their engagement with imagined scenarios. Number 3, Fulvers. Fulvers. A mix of faux, fake, and solvers for those who solve fictional problems. I love it. Do any of those jump out to you as what we should call our listeners?
Problematics is tough because that's like...
Yeah, that's implying not a great connotation. Yeah. Pretendees.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to like keep figuring out, although we do really appreciate you sending
these.
These
very
are very
funny. I just think robots can suck it.
Yeah, it's not quite the one yet, but we'll keep thinking of it. Thank you for sending those though. Okay, they say, on to my relationship question. I'm a 25-year-old female in a committed relationship with a 29-year-old male. We've been dating for 8 months and marriage is our goal. We have difficult conversations often to make sure we're aligned and resolve conflict extremely well, but one topic seems to be our kryptonite. His use of Zyne, I don't know how you say that, nicotine pouches throughout the day and CBD vape at night. I come from a very buttoned-up, alcohol-free, drug-free family, while he comes from the opposite. After sharing my drug-free dating policy on our first date, he cut his cigarettes in half that night and never smoked again. But he replaced the habit with a, air quotes, better one in the form of Zen. Am I saying that right, by the way?
No clue.
Okay. I had no idea he was using these because of how discreet they are, and he waited several months to tell me, worrying I would dump him over it. He has made countless other strides in his health before and during our relationship, like quitting alcohol, working out religiously, and eating healthy. He also went from smoking tons of weed as a young adult to using a vape once at night before bed. I tell him all the time how proud I am of these better choices and his commitment to self-improvement. I'm not as concerned about the weed vape as a sleep aid as I am about the constant Zen use throughout the day. He claims it is keeping him from picking up a cigarette, but I'm worried about the effects over time, especially because he has had multiple heart attacks from a complication in the past. I told him I support it as a transitional tool as long as he has a plan to wean off it completely. He said that was his plan. I was candid about the fact that Zen use does affect my attraction to him. It's my only, air quotes, ick. I am usually all over him, but finding used pouches in his bed or seeing him take one out makes me not want to kiss him. He is otherwise very hygienic and rises to my cleanliness standards in all other ways. Am I just a goody two-shoes and ignorant about what it takes to quit cold turkey, or are my concerns valid? Should I have more confidence in his plan to wean off it, given the fact that he's sworn off all other vices and stuck to it? We communicate well and are not dancing around the subject, so I don't want to beat a dead horse every time I have the urge to comment on it. I'm curious if you have any similar experiences or just want to share your thoughts. Thanks. Well, thank you for sharing that with us and writing in. Man, I mean, I think it's awesome that you guys are having such good communication about it. I've said before on other emails where it's like, have you talked about this with your partner yet? And it's clear that you guys are talking about it. We just did the email about the partner who won't go to the dentist. And we're saying like, yeah, the mouth is such a like big part of romantic attraction. And like, I don't think there's anything wrong with you not being into somebody having, is it like a nicotine pouch in their mouth?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would assume so.
That is valid for you to feel that way. I think it seems like it's almost a tab you're unable to close in your mind. Like you're not able to fully trust that he's gonna wean off of it, despite what you said that he has done it in the past. I think you're doing a good job to not like comment on it constantly. This might be like, I don't know if you have a therapist or a friend you could talk to about it. That might be something that's like better to take to therapy so that it's not like something that is getting brought up over and over if he is doing what he says he is. Because that's like, if he's doing what he says he is, then I don't know. I don't know if maybe you guys have talked about it. Do you both have an idea in mind of like a time frame? Because if his plan is to use it as a transitional tool, maybe you guys have different definitions of what that transition period is. So maybe you need to like both make sure you're on the same page about that. What do you think?
Well, I hope you became a fan of mine because of my blunt attitude. What have you done? That's my question. It seems like this young man has done quite a bit. He's stopped drinking. He's started exercising religiously. His diet has gotten better. It seems like you come from a family where from what I'm gathering just by this, you bought a fixer-upper. And you are trying to get it to your standards, but like, are you meeting him at all in the middle? If she used those nicotine pouches that you're talking about in her mouth, I would be grossed out by it. So I completely agree with that. Like finding used ones in the bed, that's fucking gross. That's where I would have started. I'd have been like, can you not put these on our sheets? And then, seeing someone take them out of the mouth. Yeah, but I'm not into that either. But I think just my question is like, it really seems like smoked a ton of weed when he was younger. Now he's just taken one quick one to maybe help him sleep. I don't know. I don't know what the brain development does when you smoke weed before 25. I asked my children not to do it. I think one of them listened so far. But I do think it changes so maybe he kind of needs that to go to bed. I don't know. I'm not judging if he does. But I think I would just ask you, and this is only based on this information because you haven't said like, and then I did this and I did this. I'm just wondering if you're asking him to do all the climbing up, or are you coming down to meet him anywhere? Would be my question.
Yeah.
Because it seems like this guy's doing the Lord's work with everything that he's decided to do.
Yeah.
And obviously he's so into you from the first date. I mean, he quit smoking. That's one of the hardest things to do. And he did that for you, which is unbelievable after a first date. I mean, you must have knocked his socks off. So, yeah. But yeah, I think that's my question.
Yeah, I think I get what you're saying. I think it's tough. She's talking about that he's had multiple heart attacks at age 29. I mean, like, I hear what you're saying totally. And then I also hear that she's like, I also want, like, she wants to marry this person.
Right.
So I'm sure there is a level of like almost a little black and white where it's like, I don't feel like there's any room for my partner to be unhealthy because he's already had multiple heart attacks and I'm trying to spend my life with him.
Well, I don't know what nicotine does for heart attacks, but he's probably also got this sense, and this is, obviously, I have no idea what he thinks, but maybe he's get busy living or get busy dying kind of a thing where he's like, well, I needed to fucking do something that's fun. I can't just wait for my next heart attack.
Yeah. And hearing that you guys come from such different households, I'm sure I can't speak for you, but when Chad's asking like, what have you done? I'm wondering if you are coming from a mindset of like, well, I didn't come into this with like, I don't have addiction. I don't have these health things. And I think that is a tough question. It's like, it does seem like he is doing so much. And I think it has to just make sure it's like, does he actually want to do those things? Like, because I think that's where resentment can be. If he's just doing it for you, then that's tough. And I do think that will feel a little bit like scorekeepy. But if he wants to, it sounds like he wants to be healthier. It's just a matter of like, are these like long-term things that he does want for himself, not just like, oh, she says she doesn't want that, so I'm going to try and change. But
quitting smoking, quitting drinking, exercising religiously, and having a better diet, those are 4 almost impossible things to do for one of them.
Yeah.
And he's done 4 of them. That's like pretty fucking good.
Yeah. So I think your feelings are valid. And I think also maybe hearing us talk about it is a good reminder of like, he has really done so much. And so to try to keep that in mind too. And not just focus on the one thing that's still left. Try to also remember the other stuff too. But yeah, maybe see if you guys are on the same page in terms of a time frame for that stuff.
And I hope to see you in Salt Lake City in December.
I don't get it.
I'm just guessing the family she came from.
Oh, sorry. That's so. I was like, wait, did I say she's from Salt Lake City?
No, I was just teasing.
That was very funny. I almost wanted to fist bump you with the mic, but I feel like that'd make a really bad sound in listeners' ears. But that was very funny. Okay, so this one is titled Episode 5 Cirque du Soleil Burgasm Therapy. So a few different topics within this one.
Oh yeah, you got some meat to it.
Yes. So, hey, Chad and Kelsey. Kelsey, I stumbled upon some of your bits on YouTube a while back and have been a fan ever since. I think your crowd work is fantastic. Thank you. I watched several Wrists of Fury videos, including the one with Chad, before eventually finding this podcast. I didn't know who Chad was until very recently and just watched Dad Channel's. Chad, your stories near the end of the special about your son had me rolling.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Kelsey, in episode 5, you mentioned wondering what people do growing up to end up getting swung by their hair in Cirque du Soleil. I realized that question was a bit rhetorical, but I have an answer to it. Some of these kids grow up competing in acrobatic gymnastics. I do production work for USA Gymnastics, and one of the most exciting events to work each year is the USA Gymnastics Championships because it includes acro. They even recruit for Cirque du Soleil at this event.
Wow.
I was so enamored by the skill of these incredible athletes that I had a friend make a shirt for me based on a picture I took. I've included a few pictures from last year's championships. A colleague took my shirt and got it signed by a bunch of acro kids, including the 2 guys the shirt was based on.
Can I describe the picture?
Yeah.
So there's one guy is standing on the ground and then arms spread like Jesus Cristo. Mm-hmm. And then there is the other person, hand on the head, and then bent into an L, like almost sideways. It looks awesome.
It's crazy. They also say this year the championship event is being held in Minneapolis just before the U.S. Olympic trials for artistic gymnastics, which is also in Minneapolis. If you guys are interested in attending either of these events, let me know.
Special Olympics?
Cool.
Did it say?
No.
Oh, I thought it's autistic gymnastics.
Artistic gymnastics.
Artistic. Sorry. We've been having a lot of conversations around the house lately. And sorry, my brain is focused on certain things. Okay.
In one of your episodes, Kelsey mentioned the burger scene in Minneapolis, which intrigued me because I also love a good burger. Do you have any recommendations on where to experience the best burgasm while I'm in Minneapolis this spring? I would say there's a place called Boulevard in kind of West Minneapolis area. There's a place called, what's the one? Oh, Northern Tap House. I had like a barbecue bacon burger there. Very, very good.
Now, this is going to rock your world. I am not absolutely crazy about the Boulevard burger.
Really?
Yeah, it seems.
I really like it.
I do like Boulevard's food, but the burger, I would much rather go to Northern Tap House for a burger. And then, of course, you should go check out a Juicy Lucy at Matt's.
I still have to get that.
And then, but please understand that when it comes to the table, that's not the time to eat it. You need to cut it in half, and you need to sit there and finish your conversations because it's hot as fuck. It's melted cheese inside of a burger. And so it's like a gusher fruit snack, but for blistering your mouth. So please be careful.
Oh my God.
But it's delicious.
So they say, I appreciate the honest and raw topics you tackle with your viewer questions. I grew up with an incredible amount of verbal and emotional abuse, which is not a term I use lightly. There's a big difference between being mean and being abusive. Because of this, I have struggled with trusting my own judgment, which has led to opportunities for bad advice to impact my life. Until a few years ago, I thought that all counselors and therapists were swindlers. I've had way too many, and then air quotes, licensed professionals misinterpret what I'm going through and then proceed to diagnose me with a problem I don't have, so they can prescribe me a solution I don't need. In my experience, this has done more harm than good. It's hard to look back on these experiences and not feel like this poor advice was intentional, considering it was common amongst almost all therapists I work with. I know the reality is that they were either lacking critical information, not asking enough of the right questions, or just plain terrible at their jobs. My question for both of you is, do you have any experiences that are similar to this? And what advice would you give to someone who, like myself, might struggle with trusting their own ability to determine if a therapist is helping or harming their personal growth? I want to be clear that I do not equate bad advice with things I don't want to hear. Bad advice in my experience has been someone convincing me of something that's not true about myself and then wasting an immense amount of time and money on that, air quotes, pretend problem. I'm excited that Kelsey is coming to Indy and just bought tickets to her show last week. Hopefully when it's rescheduled, I'm still able to go. Thank you for opening up your lives to the community and dealing with some of these real issues in a very humorous way. You can use my name, Todd. Thank you for writing in, Todd. And thank you for buying tickets to Indy. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So Indian gymnastics, are you familiar with the gymnastics center in Bloomington, Indiana, run by the Boers? That's my question for you, Todd. I have a question for you. Please write back.
Oh, okay. How do you feel about this?
I feel like my first therapist, the first one I went to, was such a chode that it was pretty... let me give you an example of a conversation that was had. He said to me, well, I feel like you think you're the smartest person in the room. And I said, right now, for sure. Because I think I've told this story in here before, but he grew up 15 minutes away from where I grew up in northern Minnesota, went to Duke for 2 years in North Carolina, came back, and hey, y'all, I just need to give you some advice. Fuck you. I got no time for that. So I completely get if you don't think a therapist is right for you, that makes sense. My question is, if a whole bunch of therapists that don't know each other say the same thing, I don't know. I don't know you, and I know that you ended this with, I can tell the difference between bad advice and just things I don't want to hear about myself. I completely get it. I don't know the work you've put in. I don't know any of that stuff. But when I hear like a bunch of people saying the same thing, maybe, but again, I don't know. I'm very lucky. I found my main therapist third try, which is, I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't know if it's average. I would say it's probably a little quicker than average. I would say that if you are, and this is something that I've experienced with my therapist, if you think that they don't have some critical information or they're not asking the right questions, then I think you need to give them that information and not wait for them to ask the question. because I've done that, and that's just not how it works. You kind of go, well, I'm waiting for them to invite. This isn't euchre. You're not waiting for your partner to invite. This is like, you have to give them all the information you want them to have for them to really give you a correct diagnosis.
Yeah. Can I ask what it was about your current therapist that felt different to you than the previous two? Like, what was it that made you feel like, oh, I can trust this person's advice?
He wasn't fluffing my nuts. He didn't seem like he thought he was king shit of fuck mountain.
Okay.
Like that first guy. That first guy really had this stench of self-importance. Like, well, just so you know, I went to North Carolina to school, and now I come back here where you guys say your O's funny, and so I'm going to diagnose you with something. It's like, get the fuck out of here. So that was like a little ridiculous for me. But this guy that I'm with now is like, will call me on my bullshit. I mean, he's really nice about it. He goes, not trying to be any way, but just to challenge you. That's what he'll say. But it's basically like, you're fucking wrong, which is great because I do need that. And then just knows, like, has an answer for everything. Doesn't keep falling back on the same advice. And is willing to try different things. Like, I had to do this, I can't remember what it's called, but I had to write 3 stories down of when I felt like I was betrayed or abandoned. And then I had to keep telling them over and over and over and over to desensitize those stories. And so I thought that was really interesting. He's always coming with a different angle to help. And there have times I haven't given him full information either. And so my last meeting, I gave him, I was just like 30 minutes of overload where he didn't say one thing. I was just like, here's something you need to know. Here's some more stuff you need to know. And here's this thing you need to. So it was just a ton of shit. But I do think you need to do that so they can then have all of it to make their best guess. Because that's what it is too. It is a guess.
Yeah. And with your current therapist, did you feel like you knew right away this was somebody that was going to be the right fit? Or did it take a couple sessions, if you can remember?
I went full Goodwill Hunting the first appointment I had. He asked me a question about my kids, and this is right in the middle of my divorce, and I still was unsure about whether or not I was going to get 50% custody, and then I just cried for 1 hour. So I didn't know immediately, but the fact that he just let me and didn't try to push an agenda, I think that won me over a little bit. But then when I did go, he was like, all right, what do you want to talk about? And that's when I was kind of still, feeling him out a little bit. But I just thought the fact that he didn't push an agenda, I thought it was great. He didn't say like, well, it sounds to me like you have this. He's like, well, it sounds to me like you're having a rough time. Yeah, let's figure out a way to get you through this. So I think when it's kind of like partners, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you go on a first date and either you're like, well, fuck this, or you quit smoking because you're head over heels.
Yeah.
So.
No kidding. Well, we hope that that's helpful. And maybe we'll look into the U.S. Olympic trials and see if we're in town, because, I mean, that could be cool.
Yeah, Minneapolis and St. Paul have had a ton of shit this year. It's been really fun.
Yeah, see how these Cirque du Soleil folks get started.
That's unbelievable.
Crazy. Okay. This one is titled "Made My Week, Maybe Month, More of a Thank You Than a Question," but they do have a question at the end that I think is interesting.
Okay.
They say, "Hi, Kelsey and Chad. Just catching up and listening to this week's episode. At minute 26, Chad mentions the people from Minnesota at the Boston show. That's me/us. I got super nervous, though, because as usual, we get a bit starstruck and ramble. I'm sorry, I'm just kind of getting through some of the details here. Anyway, she mentions kind of what the interaction was like and includes a picture of everybody,
nice.
Which is very, very
Uncle
sweet.
Ronnie shirt from
Uncle
the other
Ronnie
podcast.
Shirt. So anyway, thank you so much for so many laughs. We look forward to so many more. Chad, I related so much to your stories about taking Olivia to college. I sat in a church parking lot in Massachusetts and sobbed, wishing I had the past 9 years to do over when Josephine went to school out east. It was so hard. Question, honestly, do you like when fans share stories and connections in the merch line, or is it too much? We hear about you all and your stories, so it feels like we know you, but we are just strangers. Really doesn't get to be too much. Thanks again, and congrats on all the success. Thanks for giving us as a family, something to connect on and laugh till our faces hurt. Thank you so much. I'm going to leave your name out just in case. I don't know if you want me to read it or
thanks.
Not.
Yeah.
Nice. Look at all these pictures. Oh yeah, they've really seen you and Sai a bunch. That's so nice. So should I say how I feel about merch line stuff?
Sure.
So you guys know I've said on here that when there are creepy interactions in the merch line, it makes me so sad and so upset in so many ways, because it's like, I don't like to, you just don't want to feel violated. But it's hard because 99% of the people that come through do share such amazing stories with me that make me feel great, that make me feel like what we do might make a difference. And those things are so nice. So the fact that it can just take one creepy person to make you question if you even want to go out and meet anybody is tough. So for me, I like when you guys let me know like if you have a certain story or connection you want to share, I'm all for that. I think the thing, and I can't speak for you, just for me, sometimes it's hard if like sometimes people, I think, get a little unaware of like the length of the merch line and will turn it into like try to make it a long time. That for me is tough because I can feel like people in line wanting to be able to buy their things, get back home. Maybe they have a sitter. Also, a lot of the time we have another show or it's after the second show where we've just done 2 hours worth of comedy and we're wiped. So I think it's just like, we love connecting with you. But sometimes when people want it to be this like really, really long thing, that can be a little tough because sometimes it's just like not the time and place for it. But there was a guy who came through with his partner and said, I lost my mom. This was in Salt Lake City. I lost my mom to Alzheimer's. Here's a little like drawing I did. And it was kind of this like jokey thing to help him use humor to get through when his mom was going through the Alzheimer's. And he's like, anyway, sorry, I hope that wasn't too dark. Like I could tell he got self-conscious. And I was like, no. I so appreciate you telling me that you also went through this. I'm so sorry you've gone through this. Thank you for showing me the way you used humor to help cope. And so I think it's like a self-awareness thing. The times when people are like, oh, sorry if this was too dark. It's like, no. Like you aren't the people that have to worry about that. It's the people who don't have self-awareness, who like want it to be a 5-minute long thing or say something super inappropriate or creepy. Like those are the people who don't have the awareness. And then that's when it's an issue. But the fact that you're even asking, is it too much to share a story with us or whatever, I'm sure that you're not somebody who does that then.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so either. I think that, I got into stand-up to connect. This is going to sound cheesy, but to like connect with people on a human level. And That's why I tell stories about myself and not just jokes. Totally. Because if you come in and tell me that story about being in a church parking lot for, whatever it was, so long, sobbing because you wish you had, I'd like to know why you wish you had the 9 years before that to do over. See, that's something I would ask you in the merch line. If you said that to me, I'd be like, why do you want to do them over? Yeah. So, cause I want to know those things. I think that when you're connecting on a certain topic, I think it's great. And that's why, I don't know if you've noticed, but I have somebody else do all the money stuff because there have been times, and maybe I've said this on here, where you go, somebody's telling you a story and it's, something really, really personal. Like, hey, when I had a parent in the hospital, we bonded by listening to your comedy. Of course I want to hear that. And of course I think that's an awesome thing to share. But I don't want to have to go, I'm sorry, what'd you say, a medium? Do you need a medium shirt?
Yeah.
So that's why, I mean, I have someone else do all the selling so I can listen and can, if someone wants a picture, take a picture.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it's like, hey, you mentioned this on stage, well, just so you know, I blah, blah, blah. Great.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I stand out there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I wouldn't. I mean, I'm not going to go out there because I think people want to take a picture with me. I'm out there to make more money by selling shirts. I'm just teasing, but I really am out there for the connection of it.
Yeah.
I don't mind at all.
Yeah. Also in Salt Lake City, I had a girl come through the merch line, and I'm not sure if she listens to Pretend Problems, but she said that she was a helpster, and that she had just recently started therapy because of me, because of talking about therapy and all that stuff. And, she teared up, and it was like such a, man, those moments, they're invaluable. Those are the sort of things that I feel like I have a really hard time giving up just to avoid people being potentially creepy. It's really hard to make a decision of like, I'm not going to go out after shows anymore to the merch line, because it means so much to me when I get to meet those of you who do have an experience like that. I mean, it's because everything we do is kind of in a vacuum. Like, we're sitting here in our house recording this podcast. None of you listeners are here in the room with us. Like, we're not in the moment connecting to you. When we go on stage, it's just us talking and you guys laughing. But unless you write into us or say something like that in the merch line, we have no idea what our impact is. And so anyway, yeah, having you guys come up and say something meaningful and personal in the merch line, I think is always super welcome. And I think
for sure.
Chat, we asked the question earlier, what do you think my superpower is? I would add to yours that you have such lifelong fans, like these people that have been fans of yours for so long, and I'm sure will continue to be for the rest of their lives. And you really take such time with everybody. And I mean, I try to keep you in mind when I'm in the merch line. Chad is more of an extrovert. I'm more of an introvert. So I think sometimes I get a little nervous being in the merch line for too long, because I can feel myself starting to get really tired. And I'm like, fuck, I got to do another show. And I don't do caffeine because of the old IBS. So I think sometimes I get a little more like, oh, shoot, I'm worried that I'm going to not have any energy. But I try to think of how you do things too and pull more from that.
Well, also mine might be mental health related, that the fact that you guys want to listen to any of my stupid stories, the least I can do is stand out there and listen to one of yours.
Anyway, well, guys, we're going to wrap up for this week. Chad and I about to go play some pickleball.
Boom. I'm going to use my grumpiness and aggression towards that goddamn ball. And heads up, whoever's across the net from me. Heads up.
Shout out to Alex with that print due. I'm using the pickleball paddle you got me.
Oh, yeah.
And it
What's
works
up, boy?
great. Thank you so much. Also, shout out to the Timberwolves for a 4-game sweep of the Phoenix Suns. I got my official Timberwolves sweatshirt on. We went to the game. It was amazing.
Yeah, it's man, this team is, when you are a Minnesota sports fan, to see a team that keeps their foot on the opponent's throat and does not let up and does not somehow shit the bed. I know it's just one series, but that's all I need. They could get swept in the next one. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
It was so fun to watch them just go, no, I don't think so. I think we're going to come to your town and beat the shit out of you too. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was really great. Chad surprised me with tickets to one of the playoff games. It was incredibly romantic and exciting, and we had the best time. What a fucking electric experience.
It's very fun.
Yeah. All right, guys, pretendproblemspodcast@gmail.com. Also, please share the show in your Instagram stories or with a friend that you think would like it. If you can give it a 5-star rating on iTunes, that would be awesome. And, or not iTunes, the whatever the Apple podcast app is, or if you listen on Spotify, wherever you can get it, give it a rating and review would really help the show. And
yeah, share a clip from 2 episodes ago, not this one. I'll change my attitude for next time.
We won't have a clip from this week's episode, but we'll keep sharing the ones from.
I'll change my attitude. Good luck, everybody.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Okay.